everyone, welcome back to Storytime with me. As you can see, the holidays are coming up, and also today is the anniversary of a very special Christmas movie, The Polar Express. If you never seen the movie, I highly recommend you should see the movie. And I also have the book as well. If y'all never read the book, again, I highly recommend that book. So what better way to honor the Polar Express with this story, The Polar Express? Since the holidays are coming, I figured this is perfect for this. So today's story is going to be the Polar Express in honor of the anniversary of that movie. So let's get on to it. Okay, The Polar Express by Chris Van Allsburg. On Christmas Eve, many years ago, I lay quietly in my bed. I did not rustle the sheets. I breathed slowly and silently. I was listening for a sound a friend had told me I never heard, the ringing bells of Santa's sleigh. There is no Santa, my friend had insisted, but I knew he was wrong. Late that night, I did hear sounds though not of ringing bells. From outside came the sounds of hissing steam and squeaking metal. I looked through the window and saw a train standing perfectly still in front of my house. Yeah, and look, there's the little boy looking out the window. That's where he saw the train outside his house, and we all know what that is. It was wrapped in an apron of steam. Snowflakes fell lightly around it. A conductor stood at one of the guards. He took a large pocket watch from his vest. Then he looked at my window. I put all my slippers and robe. I tiptoed down and out the door. "All aboard!" the conductor cried out. I ran up to him. "Well," he said, "are you coming?" "Where?" I asked. "Why, to the North Pole, of course," was his answer. "This is the Polar Express." I took his outstretched hand and he pulled me aboard. See, look, and there's the Polar Express, which I've seen that part in the movie, which it's really, really awesome. The train was filled with other children, all in their pajamas and nightgowns. We sang Christmas carols and ate candies with no guard centers as white as snow. We drank hot cocoa as thick as rich as melted chocolate bars. Outside, the lights of town and villages flickered in the distance as the Polar Express raced onward. See, look, there's all the little kids in their seats, and there's all the waiters serving hot chocolate to them. Yep. Especially, I love drinking hot chocolate during the cold months. Soon there were no more lights to be seen. We traveled through cold, dark forests where lean wolves roamed and white-tailed rabbits hid from our train as it thundered through the quiet wilderness. Look, so there goes the Polar Express, and there goes the wolves, looking as the train went by. We climbed mountains so high it seemed as if we would scrape the moon, but the Polar Express never slowed down. Faster and faster we ran along, rolling over peaks and through valleys like a car on a roller coaster. See, look, there it is, right? There's the Polar Express climbing up the mountain, right up there. And look at the mountains. Look how tall they are. The mountains turned into hills. The hills turned to snow-covered plains. We crossed a barren desert of ice. The great polar ice cap. Lights appeared in the distance. They looked like the lights of a strange ocean liner sailing on a frozen sea. "There," said the conductor, "is the North Pole." And yep, and there's the North Pole right there. And there's the Polar Express across on the bridge. And there's the North Pole right there. The North Pole, it was a huge city standing alone at the top of the world, filled with factories where every Christmas toy was made. At first, we saw no elves. They are gathering around the center of the city, the conductor told us. That's where Santa will give his first gift at Christmas. "Who receives the first gift?" we all asked. The conductor answered, "He will choose one of you." See, look, They arrived. And look, that is a big city for the North Pole. Hey, look, shouted one of the children. The elves! Outside, we saw hundreds of them. As our train drew closer to the center of the North Pole, we slowed to a crawl so crowded where the streets were Santa's helpers. When the Polar Express could go no further, we stopped and the conductor let us outside. Yeah. Look at all those elves gathering around the city. That is a lot of elves that Santa has hired. We pressed through the crowd in the edge of a large open circle. In front of us stood Santa's sleigh. The reindeer were excited. They pranced and paced, ringing the silver bells that hung from their harnesses. It was a magical sound like nothing I ever heard. Across the circle, the elves moved apart, and Santa appeared. The elves cheered wildly. He marched over to us and pointed to me and said, "Let's have this fella right here." He jumped in the sleigh. The conductor handed me up. I sat on Santa's knee, and he asked me, "Now, what would you like for Christmas?" You see, look, there's Santa getting ready, and the elves are helping him. They're helping him load up the sleigh and get the harness on for the elves. And I wonder what the little boy's going to ask him what he like for Christmas. Let's find out and see. I knew that I could have any gift I could imagine, but the gift I wanted the most was not inside Santa's giant bag. What I wanted more than anything was one silver bell from Santa's sleigh. When I asked, Santa smiled. Then he gave me a hug and told an elf to cut a bell from Reindeer's harness. The elf tossed it up to Santa, and he stood holding the bell high above him and called it the first gift of Christmas. See, look, there's Santa holding the bell with the boy right beside him. See? That is really, really neat. A clock struck midnight, and as the elves roared their approval, Santa handed the bell to me. I put it in my bathrobe pocket. The conductor helped me down from the sleigh. Santa shouted out the reindeer's name and cracked his whip. His team charged forward and climbed into the air. Santa circled once above, then disappeared in the cold, dark polar sky. There he goes. Get ready to deliver all the presents to all the kids around the world. And all the elves are cheering at him. As soon as we were back inside the Polar Express, the other children asked to see the bell. I reached into my pocket, but the one thing I felt was a hole. I had lost a silver bell from Santa's sleigh. "Let's hurry outside and look for it," one of the children said. But the train gave a sudden lurk and started moving. We were on our way home. And look, the little boy felt really sad. He must have ripped a hole in his pocket. That would explain why the bell fell from his pocket. And look, all the other children felt really sad and devastated. And it's same thing with the boy. But I wonder what's going to happen if on Christmas Day. Let's find out. It broke my heart to lose the bell. When the train reached my house, I sadly left the other children. I stood at my doorway and waved goodbye. The conductor said something from the moving train, but I couldn't hear. "What?" I yelled. He cupped his hand around his mouth. "Merry Christmas!" he shouted. The Polar Express let out of a loud blast from its whistle and sped away. Yeah, you see there's the Polar Express leaving and the boy waving goodbye to the conductor. And great to drop off all the other children. Let's see what happens on Christmas Day. On Christmas morning, my little sister Sarah and I opened our presents. When it looked as if had been unwrapped, Sarah found one last box behind the tree. It had my name on it. Inside was a silver bell. There was a note. "Found this on the seat of my sleigh. Fix that hole in your pocket," signed Mr. C. I shook the bell. It made the most beautiful sound my sister and I have ever heard. But my mother said, "Oh, that's too bad." "Yeah," said my father, "it's broken." When I shook the bell, my parents had not heard that sound. Let's see, look. They're pulling up the bell. So I'm guessing Santa must have found it in his sleigh. And it's a good thing it came to him. At one time, most of my friends could hear the bell, but as years passed, it felt silent for all of them. It was Sarah found one Christmas that she no longer could hear its sweet sound. Though I've grown old, the bell still rings for me, as it does for all who truly believe. Yep, yep. There's the bell. It's what's inside. It's what's inside. It's what's inside, Joe. The magic of Christmas lies in your heart. That's what it is. It's what's inside your heart. It's what you believe. And if y'all never got this book, I highly recommend you read this book. And if y'all never see the movie again, highly recommend it. It is so wonderful to watch on Christmas, especially during the holidays. So I hope you enjoyed today's story. Bye, everyone.